I want a sex talk sit down. You can judge me.
Sounds so dirty.
Do sex drives have to match for marriage to work? Do you ever find yourself subconsciously comparing your relationship to others? That's a good one. What were some internal biases towards yourself and others that came to the surface while being together?
Welcome back to another episode of the Sit Down Talk. My name is Kier.
And I'm Noémie.
And we welcome you. Clap it up for you for being up in here today. You made it. You look a mess, but you made it. If this is your... coming for everybody today. If this is your first time here, welcome. You'll be pleasantly surprised. This is going to be a fire episode. Go back and watch some of our other fire episodes. We do good work here. We're proud of it. It's a good binge. Welcome.
It's a great binge.
If you are a group of people that we like to refer to as the repeat offenders, come on. Bring that on the head. That's nice. You smell good. Man, the repeat offenders, one thing I love about y'all is y'all been on Instagram claiming yourselves as repeat offenders, which really makes me feel good.
We love that.
But the people that don't know what you're talking about, you know, you look a little felonious. We might not.
Ooh.
You do, yeah. You coming?
Damn, you coming hard today.
Am I coming at y'all hard?
Dang.
Y'all don't do you? I don't feel like I am. I'm excited about the conversation today because we haven't done a Q&A in a long time.
We haven't.
Yeah, and they're some of my favorite types of sit-down talks to do. Because you don't gotta, you know what I'm saying? It's not too heavy. You hear the question.
I feel like we always start saying it's not too heavy until we get a heavy question, and now we're in like deep philosophical thought.
That's why people be texting us all these philosophical questions, because we start with something surface level. Next thing you know, we're 100 feet deep, digging down into that thing. But yeah, man, I started off in a bad mood today.
So did I.
Bad mood today.
Why were you in a bad mood, baby?
I was in a bad mood because I'm tired, man. I'm exhausted. And I'm just not in a good mood when I'm tired. Yeah. And I ain't want to see nobody face to talk to nobody. And your daughter was just yamming on the whole car ride. And then the little one, she sneezed and Spider-Man, her whole face was snot. And then I'm reaching in the back seat trying to wipe her cheek, and she fighting me and she eating the snot and eating it.
That's a bad morning. I'm so tired. I'm on the...
Keep talking. Let me get a pillow for my back.
I just came back from vacation from Curacao. And I thought I would ease into like mommyhood. And I didn't. I don't know why I thought that. That was silly of me. That was dumb. That was stupid. Like,
in your head, what did ease back into it look like?
I just didn't think about it. I was just so happy, and I was just like, when I'm this happy, nothing can piss me off. I was wrong.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I was dead wrong. These girls, I have videos of Emery. What the hell? What the hell was that?
Nah, come on, but we moving out this house. That's the poltergeist. Come on, we getting out of here.
Oh my God, that was so scary. No, Emery has pictures of me snoring. I mean, videos of me snoring last night on the couch.
Oh, she's a savage.
And she's like whispering. She's like, ah. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you?
She was playing with your hair on the couch. Like, hey, leave mommy alone. Let her sleep. She's obsessed with you. She want to crawl in your skin and be you.
I know. But yeah, I don't know what easing into it was going to be. Not that I actually gave it much thought, but I didn't think it was going to smack me in the face like it did.
Expected a hug and got a face punch.
A high five would have been nice. But no. Yeah, uppercut to the face.
Straight to the chin. It's all good. We're right
now.
We
always do this. Life is not that bad.
It's not. But you need a place where you can complain about the shit that bothers you and have a receptive ear and understanding heart on the other side. So thank y'all for that.
You want to know what else that bothers me?
Yeah.
When you're listening to a podcast or a video and the people just go on tangents.
Oh, no, I love that. I love a good tangent. Just come back to the point like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So today's episode is a Q&A. We asked our folks on Instagram. You know, we just asked them, ask us anything. Yeah. What y'all want us to talk about in the sit-down talk? And the responses were pretty dope. Y'all heard in the intro, we had some really good questions being asked us. And we're going to do about 5 of them.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll do about 5 of them we like. Okay.
You check emails during the recording?
Before we even get started, if there's any question that you would like us to answer, no matter what it is, no matter how outlandish you think it is, write it down in the comments below. We always ask our IG community, but we do want to hear from y'all as well. YouTube just doesn't have a good way to do this.
I know.
Yeah, they need to work on that. I'm going to write HR. But they, we got these questions
Good
right
luck
here.
reaching them.
Oh, come on, hey. YouTube, you're doing a good job. Let's clap it up for YouTube, y'all. So, you pick one, I pick one?
Okay, you pick the first one since it's on your
Yo, I feel like we should have went through these questions before.
That's why I was reading all of them.
Oh, we about to answer these.
You gonna answer them if you ever on Kier's live. He'll just read out a question before reading it in his head.
Yeah.
And now you done, yeah.
Now I'm in a corner and I gotta answer something wild. So there's a theme here.
What's the theme?
The theme is sex. A lot of people want us to talk about that. Today's my birthday, y'all.
Happy birthday.
No, we don't gotta do that. Thank you, boo. Okay. I thought you was gonna break it to the whole song and dance. I hate when people sing happy birthday to me.
Well, they're gonna sing happy birthday to you today. Oh, we sing happy birthday to you at midnight.
Nah, that was beautiful. Yeah, that was beautiful. So this person has a question. They said, do sex drives have to match for marriage to work? You know what I never thought about? Me and you probably not gonna agree on a lot of these. Do sex drives have to match for a marriage to work? I got an automatic answer.
What's your automatic answer?
No. I don't think a lot of people are in marriages when the sex drives match, particularly after kids or after being together for a long time, or depending on what people's careers look like. I know that that's a frequent thing with couples. Sex drive matching doesn't even always mean desire to me. I think when we think about sex drives matching, we're thinking about one person wanting it very frequently and one person not wanting it as much. DeVal and Kadeen Ellis talk about this a lot, and they're very open about this part of their marriage. Also, it could be like a timing thing where some person where one partner may have a higher drive in the morning, one partner may want to be intimate at night, and it don't match up.
But like, wouldn't you say that like when couples aren't on the same page as far as their sex drive, that it causes some type of conflict? Because like the question is, do they have to match? Mm-hmm. I would say that like, I feel like they have to match more often than not for both parties to be happy. When I think of like couples that, I mean, it's more than just sex, of course. I don't know if it's so much that sex drive matters. I don't know. I want to say yes, but I don't like the fact that I'm saying yes.
Does it matter? Yeah, it's an important factor.
I feel like it has to match. What is the question? Do sex drives have to match in order for what? In order for a couple to stay together, in order for a couple to not have conflict, in order for a couple to feel like their sexual needs are made. I feel like there's a huge missing part of that question. I do feel like our sex drives have to not necessarily match, but they need to be prioritized in a similar way in order for me to be happy.
What you mean by that?
Like, if I want to have sex and you never want to have sex, I don't see myself being happy. Mm-hmm. And that's the me thing. I know that like sex is high on my priority list, but sex is also high on your priority list. Mm-hmm. If there's a moment where like you feel like we're not having sex enough, most of the time I probably feel the same way, but I'm going to do more to make sure I have sex with you because sex is important to me as well.
This is where I knew we'd get stuck in this conversation. I think that's a unique thing about our relationship that a lot of people don't experience. Maybe there are things we do to make it better, like communication. Yeah. We talk about sex very openly between us, but we weren't always like that.
We weren't.
We just started doing that when E was, 3?
But 4? I feel like that was a huge issue in our relationship. Yeah. So like that's why I'm saying, yes, can you sustain a relationship if the sex drive doesn't match? Yes, but I don't think both parties will be happy.
So let's put some things on the table because I think you and I are kind of saying the same thing here.
Yeah. Without saying it as directly.
Right. Yeah. So just correct me if what I'm saying is off from what you're saying.
Okay.
Do sex drives have to match? Do they have to? No.
Got it.
Is it better for your relationship in multiple areas if they do? Of course, keeping in mind that sex is just one important component of your relationship.
I got a caveat to take it back to us and how we typically answer these questions. Kier's absolutely right. I think the follow-up is, if it doesn't match, why? And have you communicated that? Yeah. And if you haven't, what are some barriers in place that are preventing you from communicating that or your partner from receiving that? Yeah. And I feel like once you're able to answer those questions, whether or not the sex drive matches, like that won't be as much of a concern.
When I think about it, I think about different seasons that people go through. And even us. It's been a windy road for us in terms of our sex life because we were doing great. Then we had a kid and then we had
Clearly
Emery.
we had a kid.
Man, we had a kid and Emery.
No
matter, we were doing real great, huh? And then like once she was here, everything changed. I was at a point in life when I was working and getting my master's full time and had an internship. And she just had a baby. She was getting used to her new body in every which way. You know, after you have a baby, hormones all over the place. Y'all both got new responsibilities. It's hard to find that stride. And then it was awkward for a while. And I think we just had a really open conversation about who wants what when, who wants what how.
I never get uncomfortable having the sex conversation, but I'm so uncomfortable.
Which is crazy because I'm always uncomfortable.
Gosh.
But you know what though? It's real. You know? And that conversation is not comfortable. It's not. Because sex is so implicit. We don't explicitly talk about sex with our partner sometimes.
And we need to.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a taboo subject within your own relationship.
It's gonna be though. And
we just have to work towards that. Yeah. We have to do the work to get there. But going back to everything that you said, I feel like the fact that we weren't on the same page sex-wise was a huge barrier in our relationship.
Yeah, it was
That's
an
why
issue.
I feel like it matters, you know, and at least it matters to me moving forward. I don't think we have that much of a problem right now because we both are on the same page.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge barrier, and because that isn't anymore, we're way happier in that space. I just can't say it don't matter. I mean, I can't say that it doesn't have to match. Like, I can't, it just does not feel right coming out of my body to say that.
I'm with you. I'm stuck on have to.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on have to.
It doesn't have to, but I feel like the goal should be to understand each other's sexual desires.
I think that people will be surprised by the number of folks that have unfulfilling sex within their intimate relationships.
I don't think women will be surprised. I don't.
That's fair. That's fair enough. I'm trying to pick my next words wisely.
Yeah, I haven't been. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna get it together.
Nah, it's cool because that's a reality. I gotta acknowledge the reality that, my God, men are hypercriticized sexually in so many different ways.
Oh, for sure.
And men are hypercriticized in every avenue of our social zeitgeist, in some ways that are incredibly deserving and in some ways that are not. But just from a male experience, I see the disconnect. Like, even single women were not shy about talking about their sexual experiences with other men and how profoundly disappointed they were. And on one side, I think I see why. I think within a lot of male communities, it's hard to tell the difference between sex and violence. We adults here, even if you go to the hub, just look at the different categories and how violent the sex usually is. I think that isn't talked enough. I think that we don't talk about sexuality in all of its many forms. When men are in circles a lot, in my experience, talk about sexuality, it's more gay, not gay. And there's so much more to sexuality than that. And I think that it's a mix of that being a very personal thing. Men are judged very harshly by how the size you are, how long you can last, what your refractory period is, which is the time between going rounds. Yeah, everybody's not physically able to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but everybody's not.
Oh my God.
All right, next question.
No. Let's dedicate a very mature
Clearly we weren't ready for that joint
later, but like, honestly,
me,
I think that we do need to talk about the way that we think about men and sexuality, because that was a whole conversation that I wasn't even privy to. I
just thought about it as we were talking.
It's very new, but it makes sense the way that you explain it. But I do feel like that deserves more time and commitment and thought
than just this.
But to answer the question, I think that sexual drive doesn't have to match, but it is a worthwhile conversation with your partner to know like what their desires are and where they stand with it. Agreed. I think it's worth it to have a conversation. I think it's integral to have that conversation at some point.
And if I could add anything to that, it would be, I think that conversation needs to have with a level of sensitivity on both parties, because that's something where criticism can be taken very personally, and that conversation can go left. So I encourage y'all to talk to your partners openly and honestly, and I hope that you have the type of partner where you feel safe to do that, or at least you all have the capacity in your relationship to get to a safe place. You want to do one?
Yes. So, how has working together as full-time entrepreneurs been? Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, in that order?
Yeah.
The good is my personal life and my work life is more succinct now because we're all involved in it together in the same way. The bad is the boundaries get blurred a lot because
we have to create boundaries. They're not natural. You know what I mean? Like where we used to work at different places. Like now we have to create them.
I could take that. Yeah. I could put that on. So we have yet to create the boundaries around work and home because we'll be in the middle of doing something like, oh, did you send that email? Oh, I forgot to send an email. Oh, the kids tomorrow got an event. Can we switch? You drop off and I pick up? All right, cool. Oh, I forgot the mortgage. It's like, yo, we own too much stuff together.
Yeah. And
I think the ugly is I get inundated with all the different things we own together. And sometimes you be talking and I look her right in the face and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that? I didn't hear anything you said. It just, after a while, it's a wall of noise because it's just someone talking to me and I feel like my bandwidth is getting drained.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
My turn?
Mm-hmm.
The good.
You look cute today.
Thanks, baby. The compliments during the workday.
Oh, for real?
No, but thank you. The good is selfishly, I've always wanted to be somebody to build things. Like I wanted to do something that's important. And I've always wanted to share that big important thing with somebody that I love, like a partner, you know, boyfriend, husband, you know, whatever. And I feel like I have that with you. Like I feel fulfilled, for example. I know when I quit my job, I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I just want to create change. And I feel like I'm doing that in a good way with you. So that's like the best part of being a full-time entrepreneur with you. The bad, I would have to say, are the boundaries as well. I don't think that we don't have them. I just think it's harder to maintain them.
Yeah.
Like we know what we have to do, but it's just like, but the email just came in about the kids and I know this isn't a good time, but like I'm stressed out and I need your help making this decision. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's the bad. That's just hard. It's hard to do. And
I think that's a part of this beginning stage too, is experiencing that, not liking it and building stuff out so that it doesn't happen as frequently.
But that just creates more work. Like you're already tired of doing
That's true.
and I gotta do more stuff that's not actually like tangibly related to money and work, but just for my peace of mind. Like that's like asking somebody who's stressed out, be like, "Did you go get a massage?" When?
Yeah. When chilling becomes the work, you don't want to chill.
Yeah. And then the ugly is I just get really frustrated about things that have to do with you but aren't your fault. Like I was really frustrated that you were tired this morning and you didn't help me clean the kitchen. But I get like I would have never asked you because we're both tired. We're both tired and we both have to get up and do stuff. So it's just like I'm not frustrated at you, but I'm frustrated with you, but it's not geared towards you. Like I can still kiss you and hug you. It's just a frustrating situation. I know that I'm like being mature and I'm being an adult, but being an adult,
nah,
you know,
talk your
it sucks sometimes. And it's like, you know the right thing to do, but sometimes in a petty feels better.
I wish more people would embrace that reality. Yeah. Like it doesn't make you a worse person.
No.
Pretending that you don't feel that way and still being that way makes you a worse person. That's all facts.
And I don't want to be that way towards you. I don't actually feel that way towards you. But it's just like, who else here?
I feel terrible for you because I feel the same way. I feel you said you came in one day and you were in a good mood. You were smiling.
Yeah.
Stupid cheeks up in the air. Like, get away from me, man. You ain't do nothing, you know?
I know.
But that's the reality. I'm mad at the situation that you are somehow involved in. And my goal right now is to not unnecessarily take it out on you.
Yeah.
Even though that's what my brain wants to do.
We do a really good job at not doing. We actually don't.
Oh, take it out on the other person? We just got there.
Yeah, we just got there, but we're there.
Last year.
Yeah.
I know the conversation that changed it. It was about a year and a half ago.
Tell me.
It was a conversation I had around, we just talked about this in the last sit down talk or the one before that, where it was a birthday thing. And you told me you probably weren't even going to do nothing for my birthday. I'm like, how you going to guess? And I was actually planning something. Like, how you going to guess what I'm not going to do? Like, had no faith in me. And I think from there, we had a conversation about past stuff and bringing it into the current and the way that we treat each other. And it has not been a problem like that since
I don't even remember that conversation, but I'm very glad it happened.
I remember that. Yeah. The brain holds on. It was such a productive conversation that started from such an angry place, man. Even through all of that, I feel like it's tremendously worth it.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's worth it. I feel like it's worth it, and I have faith in us to be able to find our footing and move toward like some type of middle ground that makes sense for us.
Can I just ask you one question?
Go ahead.
What's the most annoying thing about working with me?
The most annoying thing?
Yeah.
You long-winded. Like, if we were at a professional job, I would hide from you. Noémie will catch you walking. I'll come downstairs to grab a charger because I'm in the middle of something. She'll be like, babe, I was just thinking about this thing the other day. Oh, I forgot this Instacart order. What do you want from Instacart? Do you think the girls need blah, 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 blah? Anyway, I went to the thing. No, that's not what I was doing. And then it's just like this long, I'm like, yo. And she goes into this long soliloquy. But yeah, that's the most annoying thing. What's the most annoying thing about working with me?
I feel like it's the same thing.
I'm long-winded.
I'll be chilling. It's like, babe, can I bounce this idea off you? It's gonna take like 2 seconds.
Oh, now that's all facts. Yeah, that's all facts.
I think the difference, I don't mind it, but it'll be like, I was like middle of like a Netflix show, or you'll be like, oh no, you can keep it on. Like, you're louder than the show. Like, I can't hear it. So it's like, it doesn't bother me that much.
I'm so self-conscious.
But I'm about to say number 2. 1A that bothers me is like, the things that bother you about me are the things that you do sometimes. And I'm like, I wonder if he knows.
I think the difference is one is about work and one's just about random chat.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm not chatty.
Yeah, he's not chatty, but he's deep. Like,
people think I'm chatty.
Baby, you have a philosophical thought.
Please stop talking to me.
Like he
don't
doesn't
talk
like
to me, dog. Yeah, like if we talking, let's be meaningful.
And you don't even like to talk to people for real.
Small talk. Hey, you see the Mets game the other night? Like,
bro,
I don't.
Bro,
I don't want to talk to you. Like, I'm trying to be nice.
Kier trying to chill, man.
I just want to sit in the cut and not be noticed. Yeah. Please don't.
But how could you not be noticed? How could you be on this platform and be as popular and as amazing as you are and be like, don't like me, guys? Don't like me.
I don't. I just like, if you see me in public, it's always gonna be love.
Yeah,
but if we can have a short, meaningful conversation, I will love you forever. If I start looking away, like, you're running on too long, bro. Like, please keep it concise.
Cool. That was cool.
All right, so
that made it fun.
Masculine versus feminine role within a marriage. How do you maintain a healthy balance? We actually have almost an entire episode on this, and maybe we can drop a link or something up here so y'all can save it to watch next. So maybe it'll be up in the next queue. What you got?
As far as like the masculine, feminine energy, I actually got this from the I Am America podcast that you did, and which is an amazing episode that Kier was on.
We'll link it down bottom. It's Tracy Ellis Ross's podcast.
Amazing. I listen to it like a couple of times a week, honestly. But a lot of the conversation is about how masculinity shows up in Kier's life and like how he's had to manage it. And one of the things that you constantly say is like not having a father and having a single mom. Your mom's priority wasn't like, how do I get Kier to be a good man? It was, how do I get Kier to be a good person? And I feel like with us, of course, we fall under some traditional roles, masculine and feminine roles, whether it be in our personality or our roles in the family. I think for us, we try to figure out how do we be good partners to each other and how do we be good parents to our kids. Right. And we lean into our strengths. In some cases, they tend to be traditionally masculine and feminine, but in some cases they don't. And I think just taking the focus away from like what a man and a woman or whoever is supposed to do in a relationship and focus on how do we create partnership in our relationship, that has been the priority in our relationship. And I think it's proven to be like a good way to handle things. What would you say?
I agree with you. I don't know where I stand on the masculine and feminine thing. I have a hard time
those definitions. We don't like those words.
I do think there are some things that are inherently masculine. I think there are some things that are inherently feminine. Yeah. But by society standards, even then, damn, that gets so deep. Because I was about to say something from a gender standpoint, but even now in the world that we live in, that's been turned on its head. Just the way that we think about gender, challenging us to expand our thoughts. I don't know. I don't believe in masculine or feminine energy. It doesn't vibrate with the way that I see the world. I think that people hold certain ideas of what gender roles are, or gender attitudes, or gender thoughts, or gender behaviors are, and they tie those to their identities. I don't know if I know how to answer that question, but in our relationship, it's weird because you grew up traditional Haitian, which is very different than the way I grew up.
But still with flipped gender roles.
Yeah. Do you think it's flipped gender roles?
I think in some cases, yeah.
I don't see that.
So like when I was younger, my parents made the decision where my mom would work and my dad would raise me. And then at some point it flipped. But as far as like decision making and who took the lead on certain things, it wasn't traditional.
Yeah,
like it wasn't
the traditional expectation.
But like when you think of like basic traditional roles, like yes, my mom cooked, but my dad cleaned. You know what I mean? So like in that way, it was traditional. Every way else, it was fluid.
That's the key for me, is fluidity. The best way I can answer this question will probably be with an example. I was watching this video and it's an older black man and he's talking about his family on the island and there's one piece of meat. Who's going to get the meat? And he said he is. I'm going to get that piece of meat. I'm going to eat it all because I'm the one that got to go in the woods and hunt for that big piece of meat. He said the kid and the wife, they not getting nothing. And that struck me as so odd because my brand of masculinity is very different from that. And first thing I thought was like, damn, why can't everybody get a piece? Because to me, I mean, I don't just think leadership when I think masculinity. All the leaders in my family growing up were women. And when I think masculinity, I think fluidity all the time. And even like my mom and my grandma, I've known how to iron for myself since I was 7. I've known how to I've known how to cook for myself since I was 8. My grandmother bought all of my boy cousins. She bought us doll babies when we were little. I remember. Because she said if y'all gonna make kids, y'all need to learn how to take care of them. That's a woman who had 5 kids with 5 different dads. I think that she was trying to send a message to us, and it worked because all of my first cousins are tremendous fathers. I say all that to say the ideas of gender roles in my head don't make sense because I look at men as having capacity for nurturing. I look at women as having capacity for leadership. And when people think of gender roles, they think of something that substantiates their identity. I think it is something that limits your identity. It limits your identity so much. There's so many men who are in a vacuum of what they believe a man is, and they're not being the most of what they could be because it's such a narrow definition. There's so many women that cleave to internalized misogyny that they don't even see all of the possibilities of what they can be, and they narrow themselves this specific definition of being that brand of human. I don't subscribe to it. It makes no sense. I look at the gender wars on Twitter. It's the silliest of all time. Y'all sitting there saying the same things to each other back and forth, pointing fingers, and nobody's taking accountability. Nobody's saying, I don't agree with you, but I can see why you see the world that way. I get what this person is saying, but the healthy balance for us is the fluidity, is abandoning the idea like, I'm the man, I'm supposed to. It just so happens I take care of all the bills in this joint because that's the way our life worked out. But there was a point in time when we thought that was going to be her. And I was okay with that because my idea of being masculine or being a man isn't tied to bread. I take pride in other things that I do, the people that I serve, the community I'm a part of, how I make people around me feel safe, all of that. To me, masculinity is, if you're going to do it right, it's more about leadership and less about dominance. I hate the gender war stuff. It's
but that was so good.
It's so ignorant, man. It's so disqualifying of everybody's experiences around you. And people feel so validated and invalidating the other side just to stand up for themselves. These people are wrong, so I'm going to be more wrong and feel validated in doing so. I don't understand how we think we can get to a reasonable solution like that.
Do you ever find yourself subconsciously comparing your relationship to others?
Honestly, never.
Never?
No.
Why not?
I think married people are whack. I think married people are so corny. Babe, tell them the story about the thing.
Why is that the first thing that... Can I answer the question?
Babe, she always does.
Stop it.
My
Ew.
bottle nosed dolphin. Like, yo, people who be super married, I can't.
But why do you think comparing is related to that?
Because in order to compare, You have to see something that you want and say, hey, I wish I was more like that.
I disagree with that.
What's your take?
I disagree. I don't think when you compare... Babe, you about to make me walk away.
Don't do it.
Don't stop being that person. That ain't even you. When I think of that question, I think of like, I compare us to like other couples in this industry to see how they manage. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
think about it like that.
I know. I like to look at other couples who I admire, or other couples that I feel like are in, you know, similarly unique situations like us. Like, I can't compare how Kier and I address conflict with a couple that has like grandparents involved in the kids' lives and, you know, have a chance to spend time away from each other, who don't necessarily work with each other, that go hours without seeing each other. And I just feel like, for me, my need to compare is to like, just make sure I'm not going crazy. Like, of course, if I compare myself to somebody who doesn't see their husband because they're at work 9 hours a day, they're not going to have that same type of struggle that I have with boundaries with you. You know what I mean? Or like somebody who has like a nanny or an au pair, or like somebody that comes in and takes the kids, because you and I are tag teaming 99.9% of the time.
All day.
You know, so that's why it's more of a like, you know, let me see what they're doing. Let me see if it's working out for them. Let me see if I can take some nuggets from that and use it in our relationship. In order for my marriage to grow, I constantly have to look at other people's marriages and like have conversations with other married women or even married men. I don't think that you can do marriage successfully on an island. Like, I don't think comparison is a bad thing unless you look at it like as if you have a deficit. I mean, even if I do look at it like I have a deficit, I'm not longing for what somebody else has.
Right.
I'm trying to take a method or a strategy that they're doing to make sure that I'm being fulfilled in my relationship.
I mean, I do feel the way I said at first, but larger than that, you're right. I always say, it's funny my mind went there thinking about comparison, because I always say that comparison isn't inherently a bad thing.
It's not.
Comparison allows you to look at the people around you and evaluate where you stand compared to amongst your peers. Not necessarily better or worse, but just how different you may be from them. And I think I do that when I look at other couples. I look at things that they do successfully, like, oh man, we could probably implement some of that. I don't look at it from an envious standpoint, because everybody's love is different, and I don't want what someone else has in that capacity, because I built what I have now. Like, it's ours. This is our group project. We made it together. But the comparison becomes bad, or as they say, the thief of joy.
I hate that.
Yeah, I think that's a biblical phrase.
Comparison is.
I'm no theological scholar, but I think that may be a biblical phrase. Either way, the comparison is only the thief of joy if you use that comparison to make yourself feel worse, or minimize your accomplishments, or make your mind feel like there is no treasure in your trash. So that's why I reacted like that originally. I think people's love is unique, and even if you and I were to split today and be happy in other relationships, we'd be happy. We wouldn't be the same kind of happy.
Exactly. It'll be a totally different relationship.
It'll be a different flavor of chips. And I like my barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good on that. You know whose marriage? Kevin and Melissa, man. Like, watching them move in real life, it's really inspirational. They've been together for a long time.
Watching them move in real life.
Yeah. Tabitha and Chance, watching them move in real life.
The real life part matters. You see what they portray on social media, but then to see it in real time, see the way that they interact with each other, the way they bounce off each other, the way they give each other space, the way they come back. It's so smooth.
By Kev, I meant Kev on stage.
Yeah.
I'm assuming everybody knows what I'm talking about.
It's like, you know that they've gone through things, and you know that it doesn't feel like a fairy tale. It just feels so real. Yeah. I don't know. I love them. They're definitely like mentor couples in my head. Yeah, for sure. I guess not in my head, in real life.
I think it's good to have other couples to look to, for example, but I think it's also good to have couples to look to as a cautionary tale, as what not to do. Not in a way where you're like, oh,
judgy,
stay away from y'all, but like, oh wow, y'all fell into that hole. Like, what happened? Please, I'm writing notes. I want to make sure I avoid that at all costs.
And it's easy to fall into those holes.
Man, what?
So we should be taking, the good examples and the bad examples to kind of compare. I really do believe that. I don't think you can be successful without looking at what everybody else is doing too. Like the whole concept of keep your head down, work, and it's like, you can find easier ways and shortcuts and tips and tricks
you
from
use the people around you. Yeah, there was an episode of Grownish where I'm about to be bad with names like Shirley Rothon on Abbott Elementary. I'm about to do bad. Right. So she told Halle Bailey's character, they were having a tiff. Yara Shahidi and Halle Bailey's character were beefing with each other. And Halle Bailey's character said, you always want people to validate you or give you a clap for feeling good. And she said something that forever lives with me. She said, I work in the fashion industry. I'm not a track star like you where you can see your results without anybody having to say something. I need people to tell me my stuff is good in order for me to know that. And I was like, dang. That episode. Yeah, that jump. I be watching it when she watches it, and that one clicked in my head. And I feel like it's the same principle there.
Whoa. We said we weren't going to get deep.
I know. God damn, this brain of mine. I be trying. See, that's why people be talking to me. And
you can't help it.
Sometimes people be having some good conversations.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
you be
sometimes
talking.
They be good.
You're not chatty typically, but when you get into a real good conversation, you there.
I met this random lady at a coffee shop. She was mad intrusive. Like, she just walked up. Are you the dude from social media that talks about therapy? Yeah, I am. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Kier. Like, I'm mad nice to people, but I was chilling and she almost took the earplug out of my ear. Like, I clearly didn't want to, And she started talking about her relationship, and at first, I'm like, yo, lady, you need to leave, man. By the time she talked about the second month, I was like, this. What happened next? We didn't have a conversation. She was talking, but sometimes people have some amazing stories. Yeah. All right. Want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
I think this one is good. Oh. What are some internal, I don't know how to answer it yet. Okay. What were some internal biases towards yourself and others that came to the surface while being together? Oh, I got one.
I have one. Let's bounce off of each other.
I said, ooh, like I'm excited to share it.
It's not so much an internal bias about me, but it was a bias about others that I had to kind of grow out of. But I grew up, like the whole concept of being selfish, right? The way that I was raised in a way where I was raised with a lot of pride. Pride is probably that biggest word. Like, I was proud of myself. I was proud of my grades. I was proud of the way that I looked. Mm-hmm. I was proud of the effort that I put into things. And I was raised in a way where not only was that expected, that was normal. And if I ever did anything less than that, then I'm a failure.
If you achieved more than that, were you celebrated more?
No, that was the expectation. Like, the expectation was excellence. And don't ask for a clap for that. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. But if you fail to meet that bar, what are you doing? And I think I carried that to my expectation of others. It created a huge conflict because on one end, I was upset with myself because I felt like I was setting unrealistic expectations for other people. But at the same time, I'm okay with having high expectations. I just don't know where high meets unrealistic.
And somebody else's mind?
In the way that I judged other people. So it's just like, in relationships, if you didn't do what I needed you to do to a certain extent, I'm checked out. Like, I'm done. Friendships, it was just like I would judge people for being lazy, or I would judge people for like just not putting in work, not seeking growth, not trying to be better. It just put me in a place where I think I was selfish. I wasn't willing to listen to other people, and I found myself unhappy in those situations because it's not realistic.
You absolutely have to talk about how you got out of that.
I don't know how I got out. I just had to live. I think I had to live life. I had to be disappointed. Mm-hmm. I had to disappoint myself. I had to realize that, like, I was on a stride where, I was making good grades and doing all these great things and winning awards and at some point that wasn't the case anymore. At some point, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't meet certain expectations. And it's just like, okay, so I just live with myself for being disappointed, or do I move on? And if I could move on, you know what I mean? If I can let those things go, I stopped expecting those things in other people, because the reasons why I wasn't reaching those things wasn't because I didn't try hard. Everything doesn't work out the way that you...
Just don't work out. Most times stuff just don't work out.
And I found myself being happier kind of still having high expectations, but not being completely broken if things didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. And I think that's just life. Like, I think life and time and leaning into my experiences and not centering just myself when things happen, understanding where other people kind of come into play, forgiving people for doing things or not doing things, but also having the wherewithal to say that I still have high expectations for the people that I want in my life. So I forgive you for doing this, but no thank you.
That's real.
You know.
You have grown so much in those areas.
Yeah.
That's why I said you got to talk about that, because who you were then versus who you are now is a completely different woman, is a completely different human. Noémie, yes, a million times over. And I think the thing that I love most about your change, you about to get emotional.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Me neither. But the thing that I love most about it is it was so gradual, and you changed for the sake of you being better. You didn't change for the sake of, oh, this is what's going to require for this relationship, so let me do it. The impetus, the genesis of the change was for you to be a better person for yourself and the people around you. And it's so obvious. I think you're a better friend. I think you've always been an amazing friend, but I think you're a better friend. You are a much better partner. You're a super easy partner to talk to, man. We just had a conversation. It was yesterday, the other day, something. I said something you didn't like, and she was mad.
The
furniture budget. Yeah. She gave me a number for the bedroom.
And he said no. And I was like...
I said no?
No, I mean, that's the simpler way.
Oh, yeah.
I have to recognize that other people don't know our relationship, so I can say it to you, and other people be like, he holds her in a room and puts her in a chain, and she can't spend no money. Like, guys, that's not what I mean. You say it, because I'm a mess it up.
I was...
I already messed it up.
Nah, man, you good. You didn't. It's basically, I didn't like the number. I thought it was an exorbitant amount to spend on a bedroom, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. She was clearly upset. But I stand firm on what I said, but we had another conversation about what that means for what she wants moving forward. It didn't just stop there. I'm like, all right, I'm not comfortable with that. So here's what I would be comfortable with. What would you be comfortable with? What's your halfway point? And we just kind of inched towards this middle in place until we reached somewhere that we both was rocking with. So
can I say another reason why that works?
Yeah.
It's because we don't hold grudges in relationships. Once we got past that, it's done. You can't get past something temporarily and then come back and bring it up.
I disagree, but I feel you. I love that for me, if I'm the person that did the wrong thing.
Well, that's how I act.
But I don't think there's a statute of limitations on revisiting a conversation when there's still unresolved conflict between two people.
I think it's one thing to revisit the conversation, but it's another thing to say, I'm okay with this. Let's move on.
Oh, and then come back.
Be like, by the way, I'm still upset that you said X, Y, and Z, but we resolved it.
I don't know.
I don't like that. If you tell me you forgive me about something and then you come back and you're like, I'm mad again, I'm going to be like,
my brain is not wrapping itself around that. So if we had a problem, we talk about it. I say, you know what?
This is where we're going to meet in the middle.
We meet in the middle. This is what we agreed on. And then
and I come back, but I'm still upset that you even said that.
So my internal bias is, I think that I don't know if it's a bias or a distortion. Maybe it is a bias. My bias has always been where people need an abundance of support, or they need people to be there for them to the point where they start blaming or really coming after the people who they don't feel like are there for them. I have a problem when people do that. I realize it's because I grew up with what I believe isn't enough support. And at a very young age, I realized, like, your mom ain't coming to your games. All these things are not going to happen. People just aren't going to show up for you that way. And I made it okay in my heart a long time ago. I don't feel a way if people don't show up for my stuff. I really do not trip. Do you disagree?
I don't disagree, but I feel like it's okay to want that.
I'm sure it is okay to want that, but my brain has been fixated this way for so long. I literally cut that limb off. Like, there's no blood flowing to that limb anymore. So I had a hard time understanding before you and I got together why people needed so much goddamn support. Why do you need people to be there for you so much? One of my things I had to get over, even as a therapist, when people on Facebook, people will support a celebrity, but they won't support your business. No one has to support your business. I rarely ask my friends to click for a brand deal. I don't ask them to listen to podcasts, except for the Tracy Ellis Ross joint. Link is below. Bomb. Go watch that one. So good. I'm on a billion. I never ask anybody to watch them ever. I never ask for support. I don't feel like I need that necessarily. Yeah. And I couldn't understand why people did. And I ended up falling in love with a person who is very vocal about their adamant need for support. Like, this is what I need, and I'm not ashamed that I need this support. And that was a conflict for us for a long time. And I think being with you and realizing where my stuff is and where your stuff is, it helped me see that people need what they need. And just because it's not what I need or not because what my mind and my heart prioritize, that doesn't mean that it's not a thing that's important outside of my experience. That's been a bias that I've had that you've really helped me through. Because I didn't see it before. You got to live with somebody and see the why to their what in order to understand sometimes. If there are any questions that you all have, again, put them below. We'll copy and paste them or something to make sure that we get to them. We'll try to do one of these every other month, maybe. I ain't going to promise that. We try to do these joints when we can. Make sure you hit the notification button so that you can know of all of our posts as soon as they post. Down below, I want you to tell me what your biggest takeaway was from this entire sit-down talk. I'm sure y'all have many of them. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That's how we know you're here, you're present, you're accounted for. Go ahead and tap that thing for us. We really appreciate that. And we'll see you next time. Y'all be well. Just a point of clarification earlier when I was talking about men and sexuality, I think there's a point that I didn't make.
Okay.
Because I quit on the conversation because we started talking about sex and I got uncomfortable. I think that lack of communication, like there is an inability to accept criticism about sexual parts of ourselves, especially things that we don't get to hear. And it's like that blind self, the things that other people know about you, but you don't know about yourself.
Like from Joe Harry's window?
Yeah, from the Joe Harry's window.
Remember.
That's dope. And when people land those things on you, it's almost never taken well. So there's a reluctance to accept criticism on the other half. There's not really a lot of open criticism. Whether or not women feel safe giving that criticism to men, whether or not she's like, man, that was whack. I'm not going to tell you how to do something you should know how to do. There's just a lot of holes in the sexual story that we tell about men that I would like to have filled so we can have an equal conversation. That's all. That's it.